A sigh of relief for disadvantaged people. The Social Relief of Distress grant has been extended until March next year. President Cyril Ramaphosa says this grant has provided support to over 10 million unemployed people who've been impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic. Applications for the grant can still be done online. For more details on this, we're joined by Paseka Letsatsi from the South African Social Security Agency. Paseka, thank you very much for your time this evening. So the 350 Rand Social Relief of Distress grant is going to carry on until next year. Is this grant automatically renewed for people who have received the grant in the past?
No, let me say good evening, Andy, and thanks for having us. I think the President made the announcement during the State of the Nation address. We, therefore, in terms of the processes, the Minister of Social Development, Minister Lindiwe Zulu, would have to make the directions, and we think that the directions will be made before the end of March. And it is those particular directions which will definitely give us the indication in terms of how do we need to make sure that we process the 350 grant.
So those directions not in place yet. When are the first payouts going to take place, just to give our viewers some indication of when they should be looking to receive those funds?
We would not want to have a lapsing of the processes, because remember, we are supposed to end payment the end of March. However, because of this particular announcement which was made by the President, we need to make sure that there is no lapse. We continue without problems. So we think the Minister would take those particular things into cognizance and make sure that the directions are issued as quick as possible. But we think that they will be obviously be issued before the end of March. And that will then be able to give us as an organization to be able to make sure that the payment goes without any problems. But definitely as an organization, we will definitely make an announcement to the public once the directions are made, and we'll definitely make sure that we do not necessarily have that particular lapse which I spoke about.
So, as you said, we are still waiting for directions, but can you tell us whether new applications will be entertained?
No, definitely. As we speak, people still make applications. We are dealing with the issues of the appeals and so on. We are working without trying to make sure that everybody is accommodated and those who are deserving are paid. So people do not necessarily have to panic because their payment is going on smoothly, but those obviously who have been rejected by the system have that particular right to appeal, and we will definitely go through the appeal and make a decision once we have assessed basically their appeal. But we are saying it's a seamless process. We would not want to even for a day to have a hiccup. And we are convinced as an organization where we sit that the Minister is basically making sure that things are seamless. But we know as we speak, currently, there are those particular people who are still making the applications. And we consider them every month end.
The agency has urged people who had previously received payment from the South African Post Office to open bank accounts to receive future payments. Does that mean there are going to be any changes with regard to how recipients receive payments in future?
Not necessarily. We do still have people who who get their payment from the post office, and I think they will continue to get their payment from the post office, because we got a memorandum of understanding with the post office. And some of the things that we were telling our beneficiaries was that they must not go to the post office and go and inquire if the money has been deposited in the account or not, because it creates unnecessary queues at the post office. People must wait for an SMS that comes from the post office. But from where we are, we know that people have got the right to choose any platform where they want to get their money. They can go to the bank, they can choose to get it from the post office. There are all other forms of methods of payment which people have the right to choose. We would not necessarily compel people to choose a particular payment method which they want. But if people feel that they want a quick process, we always encourage them to give us their bank account.
in the past, we've seen large numbers of people gathering at SASSA offices. You've also discouraged people from trying to apply directly to your offices. So just remind us of the processes in place and when we can expect those directions to be issued by the Minister.
There is a reason why we said people must not come to SASSA office. Obviously, COVID has taught us many things, and the application is going online. People can simply go to the srd.sassa.gov.za. That's where they can then be able to make an application. But we can safely say we'll be basically in touch with the media. Once the minister makes those particular directions known, we will definitely make sure that we do not leave people with a confusion, because we want everybody to understand what processes that they need to follow to make sure that the application is taken.
Well, thank you very much for taking the time to speak to us. Paseka Letsatsi from the South African Social Security Agency.